You know, free bands and 21 Savage sold somebody a condo, and when they bought the condo, they didn't know the nigga kept the keys and the door opener and all that shit to get in. So when the other nigga went out of town, the nigga that sold the condo to him went back in there and took shit.
Future might have just committed the biggest blunder of his entire career. He decided to throw a sneak diss at 21 Savage on Twitter, and honestly, it's not looking good for him. You see, when you go after 21 Savage, you aren't just targeting a rapper. You're challenging a crew that has been active in the streets long before they ever saw a record deal. These guys aren't just playing a character for the cameras. In Atlanta, the 4L reputation is heavy enough to make any other group think twice before starting friction. Future doesn't seem to grasp the gravity of the situation he sparked while he's been tucked away in his mansion tracking his streams. 21 Savage's circle is still rooted in the trenches. When you combine leaked jail recordings revealing years of shallow friendships, declining album sales causing a sense of urgency, and now direct shots on social media, you have the ultimate recipe for a violent fallout. The streets are currently on high alert. Word is traveling fast through Atlanta that 4L is preparing to drop a response. And when they respond, they don't use PR statements. They use force. Stay tuned, because the fallout from this could permanently alter the Atlanta music landscape. And there's a real chance someone doesn't walk away from this. Before we dive into why Future may have just signed his own death warrant, you have to understand the reality of 4L. This isn't merely a rap collective surrounding 21 Savage. This is a serious street organization that has been handling major business in Atlanta for a long time. When 21 Savage claims he's the realest out, he's referring to a level of street cred that goes much deeper than hit records. 4L stands for For Life. And these guys take that oath seriously. They've been tied to numerous incidents in the city that stayed off the radar, but the streets are well aware. When 21 Savage raps about his history, he isn't just reciting lyrics. He's presenting his resume, and his team is still very much active. Future, meanwhile, has typically played the role of the chill superstar. He focuses on hits, avoids the mess, and ensures his hands stay clean. That approach worked as long as the lines of respect were held, but those lines were just erased. Future built a brand on being the detached, cool player who stays above street politics. But that very distance that once protected him might be exactly what leaves him vulnerable now. 21 Savage has been harboring resentment for months. His latest project, American Dream, only moved 50,000 units in its first week, his lowest performance to date. All the while, Future is still hailed as the king of the city, despite what 21 views as a fraudulent image. That irritation has been simmering like a pressure cooker, and Future's tweet was the spark that set it off. The timing is also terrible. With Young Thug behind bars and the YSL case ongoing, the power dynamic in Atlanta is already brittle. Having two of the biggest remaining stars drawing battle lines is a dangerous game. Everything shifted when those jail calls surfaced, where Young Thug absolutely tore into Future. These were private chats between Thug and Mariah the Scientist, where he vented about people he once considered brothers. In one snippet, Thug mentions that Future refused to do a Free Thug benefit concert. Future allegedly claimed he didn't want to overshadow Thug's moment, but Thug didn't buy that for a second. He essentially labeled Future a fraud, suggesting he was just making up excuses to avoid showing up when things got real. How
biting and you just not real. You biting and you ain't real. You just a buster all the way around. Like, hey, what's wrong with you? You're using nigga whole life, a whole saying and whole everything, and then don't even participate in a free a nigga campaign. Around the time I got locked up, I know for sure you would have made sure you said in one of your songs, free bruh, just because it's just publicity for you. Crazy, burnt out. I ain't even trying to think about these niggas. These niggas have a nigga mad. You can believe that.
However, the situation takes an even darker turn. Thug begins describing how Future's personality shifts whenever women are around. He claims Future starts performing and completely ignores Thug if there are girls in the studio. Thug noted that Future would ask him for genuine creative advice on music, but as soon as women walked in, Future would act like Thug wasn't even speaking to him. That is some incredibly fake behavior right there.
Me and him ain't been tight in a minute.
Yeah.
And it's because he do little lame jump, like call me to the studio. You know, so I pull up to the studio, messing, chilling with him. You asking me what to say on the song and how you should start off your song. Then there's girls in the room. Now you acting like you don't hear me telling you that. Because there's girls in here, like, just like little fake nigga like that, like little stuff like that. I don't be liking that nigga. I'm a player, like, what's wrong with you, fool? You trying to, I don't know what trying to image you trying to get off to these girls, but you an idiot, nigga. Like, everything you know a nigga teaching you, I done taught you. Like, cut it out, bro. Like,
Thug truly went for the jugular. He moved on to Future's personal life, alleging he's reckless with his relationships and constantly pressuring women to get abortions. He specifically named a girl called Arabian who supposedly had multiple procedures because of Future. Thug painted a portrait of Future as a man who was completely indifferent toward the lives and feelings of others. The most damaging blow was when Thug said Future's entire camp is fake, including the people who work for both of them. He labeled Future a gal clown, basically calling him a man who is driven by lust and willing to crash out over women, but doesn't actually have any real heart for the streets. Coming from a figure as respected as Young Thug, that's a total character.
Pluto is like, you pushing the P, bitches want to have your kids and shit too, but you still got to be like 100% locked in with the kids. You like 100% locked in with the bitches. That's the wrong way to go.
What made these recordings so impactful was the clear sense of betrayal. You could hear in Thug's voice, this wasn't just standard rap competition. This was genuine pain from someone who viewed Future as family. And a betrayal from family always stings more than a hit from an enemy. Once these tapes went public, 21 had to make a move. He could have stayed on the sidelines or tried to mediate, but instead, he immediately sided with Young Thug. The reason? 21 and Thug share a bond that goes much deeper than the music industry. While Future was the megastar avoiding the drama, 21 and Thug were actually in the trenches together. They rose up in the same era, dealt with the same hardships, and founded their brands on being authentic rather than just being hitmakers. When the Rico case hit Thug, 21 was one of the few who remained truly loyal. He was visiting him, putting money on his books, and keeping Thug's legacy alive in the streets and on the charts. That's the kind of loyalty you can't buy. 21 has often felt like he's denied his proper flowers in Atlanta. He's put in work for years, both musically and on the ground. Yet people still mention names like Future first when discussing Atlanta royalty. So when Thug, an undeniable legend of the city, calls Future fake, it confirms every suspicion 21 already had. Furthermore, 21 is more tapped into the streets than most. He understands that loyalty is worth more than industry networking. The Future might have the bigger hits and more global fame, but Thug stayed solid when it mattered most. In 21's world, that's the only metric that counts. There is also the matter of pride. 21 Savage has always valued his authenticity and his reputation for being real, even when it cost him business deals. So, seeing Future get celebrated as a king while allegedly being two-faced behind the scenes likely rubs him the wrong way. The friction between Future's camp and 4L actually goes much deeper than lyrics or hurt feelings. According to several Atlanta insiders, a serious street deal went south between the two sides. This involved actual money and real-world consequences. The story is that someone from 21 Savage's circle sold a condo to a member of Future's free band's crew. On the surface, it looked like a standard real estate deal between industry associates, but this is where it turned messy. The seller allegedly kept a spare key and the garage remote. This wasn't a mistake. It was a setup from the jump. Once the buyer left town thinking his new home was safe, the seller returned and completely cleaned the place out. We're talking about massive value here. Jewelry worth hundreds of thousands, stacks of cash, and multiple safes were taken. This wasn't a small-time theft. It was a high-level hit that likely brought in 6 figures or more. When the victim reviewed the footage, they saw exactly who was responsible. It wasn't a random act. It was a pre-planned robbery. Now, when a hit like this happens in the streets, there is a protocol. The expectation is that the leader in this case, 21 Savage, makes it right. He either pays the loss back or disciplines the person responsible.
You know, free bands and 21 Savage sold somebody a condo, and when they bought the condo, they didn't know the nigga kept the keys and the door opener and all that shit to get in. So when the other nigga went out of town, the nigga that sold the condo to him went back in there and took shit.
But according to those familiar with the beef, 21 never made things right. This sparked intense animosity between the two groups that had zero to do with rap. Future's team felt violated and disrespected, not just because of the theft, but because 21 failed to address it. In that world, failing to take action is seen as weakness, or even worse, being in on the job. This detail is vital because it proves the tension isn't just about tweets or ego. There are street debts involved, major financial losses, and a lack of accountability. When street business and the music industry collide, things can turn violent very quickly. The conflict finally went public during 21 Savage's talk with Big Bank. Bank kept pressing 21 on who the GOAT of Atlanta was, and you could see 21 getting visibly irritated. He kept sidestepping the question and trying to move on, but Bank wouldn't let up. It was obvious 21 didn't want to give Future any credit. Every time the Atlanta hierarchy came up, 21 would deflect. That it was clear he had strong opinions on the matter, but he wasn't quite ready to fully disrespect Future on a public platform yet. When Bank finally backed him into a corner, 21 simply said, "I'ma say me." He didn't say it with a smile. He was dead serious. He truly believes he is the top dog in Atlanta.
I give you my opinion, nigga, and then I be like, but shit, you gotta do what you gotta do though, bitch. You chose this lane.
Yes.
That's what I tell you.
Facts.
I might be like, I feel like you're
and is tired of being sidelined. Bank followed up by asking who else belonged in that top-tier bracket. 21 shouted out his own team and a few other rappers, but he completely ignored Future's existence. The slight was quiet but undeniable to anyone watching. This was 21's way of testing the waters to see how people would react if he stopped, acknowledging Future as the king of the city. When he saw fans and commenters agreeing with him online, it gave him the green light to take things further. The interview proved that 21 hadn't just come up with this on the spot. He had been harboring real resentment about how Atlanta's ranking was viewed and where he fit into that picture.
If I would have met you, bro, I don't feel like you supposed to been in the street. Cause niggas don't know you really a smart ass, let it go ass nigga, call nigga phone, let it go ass nigga.
But a lot of niggas is them the most
really smart ass.
But yeah, goddamn, I don't know I think what made me jump in the street was just my circumstances. I feel like I was forced in the street. Cause I couldn't do nothing else. I ain't got no green card. I can't get no job. So how the hell else was I gonna survive? You feel what I'm saying? This is how I really feel. I feel like Atlanta is really goddamn, what's the word? Atlanta really a pedophile. Cause Atlanta really groomed us, bro, since we was kids. The fuck? No, just listen to what I'm saying.
Future, being his usual reserved self, didn't come out swinging right away. Instead, he took his typical route. He let his numbers do the talking. He went to social media to claim he was the biggest in this. A quiet but firm reminder that no matter who is the realest, he is the one with the most impact and money. However, it's clear those jail recordings hit a nerve. Having someone you treated like a brother call you a fraud on a public line for the world to hear has to sting, especially when it's someone you supported during their rise. Future has always prided himself on staying above the fray and avoiding mess. That's how he stayed relevant for a decade while others crashed out. But this time is different. This isn't just industry talk, it's personal. The biggest in this post was his way of saying that while 21 is focused on street cred, Future is focused on platinum plaques, stadium tours, and global power. It was a subtle flex, but given the current climate, everyone understood the message. Interestingly, Future could have been much more aggressive. He could have responded to the jail calls directly or addressed 21's shade head on, but he chose to stay composed at least. For now, that's either a brilliant move or a sign that he's underestimating the threat. The issue is that in street culture, taking the high road is often mistaken for being soft. And when you're dealing with a group like 4L that values action over words, a measured response might not be enough to stop things from escalating. After his project American Dream underperformed with just 50,000 first-week sales, 21 Savage went on a Twitter tear that aired out everything he'd been holding back. He started posting about being the realest in the game, which was a direct shot at Future's biggest claim. But then he started leaking industry secrets that most rappers would keep behind closed doors. He admitted that quality control was wrong about certain things, and that both he and Lil Baby knew Young Thug was being inconsistent with his snitching accusations. This was 21 basically admitting that even though they backed Thug in public, they knew he was being a hypocrite regarding the street code. This was a bombshell because it showed that even Thug's inner circle questioned his logic when it came to loyalty. 21 was essentially saying they all knew Thug was playing favorites with the snitching label based on who was useful to him. 21 also claimed he tried to get Quavo and Offset to settle their differences via a group call, but it failed. He was painting himself as the true leader and peacemaker of Atlanta, while everyone else let their egos ruin the city. The biggest shock was when he discussed Young Thug and Gunna. He claimed Thug knew Gunna wasn't a street guy from day one, but they overlooked it because it was profitable. He basically confirmed that there were snitching rumors about Gunna that the whole team ignored, because Gunna was a cash cow.
You can't avoid Gunna. Your fans want to hear Drip Too Hard. They want to hear these songs that are amazing hit songs that you happen to have with Gunna. You're skipping them because Gunna's a snitch or a rat? I thought Young Thug's father said that. Technically, he's not, right? There's some YSL niggas now saying that, he's not. But Lil Baby's trying to stand on business and be like, f that. We're skipping the song. We're not even playing the song at the concert no more. I feel like something happened recently. Something behind the scenes. This confirms something happened behind the scenes recently. 21 also took shots at other Atlanta rappers for being two-faced and choosing sides, based on money rather than loyalty. He framed himself as the only honest man left in a city full of politicians and fake bonds. This outburst proved that 21 had been sitting on a lot of anger regarding the state of Atlanta and his own position in it. The low album sales simply gave him the reason to finally explode. Let's be real about why 21 actually went on this rant. His album tanked. Moving 50,000 copies for a star of his size is a major blow to his status. He needed to get the blogs talking and get eyes back on his brand. There's no better way to do that than starting a fire with Future, one of the biggest names in the city, and spilling secrets that the fans love to gossip about. Drama sells, and 21 is well aware of that. By positioning himself as the one truth teller in a sea of fakes, he's trying to rebrand himself as the soul of Atlanta,
It's a gamble because it ruins relationships with industry power players. But when your numbers are dropping and you're losing your spot, sometimes you have to burn it all down. The problem is that when you bring street crews and real-world money into it, these gambles can turn fatal. 21 also knows that authenticity is his entire brand. His whole career is based on being the street guy who never folds. So, if the music isn't selling, doubling down on being the realist, even if it means exposing secrets makes sense for his image, here is why this is much scarier than a normal rap beef. 21 Savage's For El Crew is notorious for handling their business for real. These aren't just guys in music videos. These are individuals with actual street reputations to defend. Pharrell has been tied to several serious situations in Atlanta over the years. They aren't just an entourage. They are a functioning street organization with their own rules. When 21 talks about sliding, he's not talking about a diss track. When you mix that level of street power with wounded egos and failing sales, you have a recipe for disaster. 21 feels slighted by Future's success because he views Future as a fake. Future feels stabbed in the back by someone he helped bring up. And then you have Thug in a cell, likely realizing he started a fire he can't put out. Those jail calls were never supposed to be heard by the public. Now, they've forced everyone in the city to pick a side. In Atlanta, picking the wrong side has real-world consequences. The condo robbery adds a level of danger because it involves stolen wealth and actual victims. When street business gets tangled with the music industry, things spiral. And given 4L's track record of responding to disrespect with force, Future might have a massive target on his back right now. What makes this so volatile is that both sides have serious backing. Future has the money and the industry reach. 21 Savage has the street muscle and a crew that doesn't hesitate. When people with this much power clash, innocent bystanders often pay the price. Atlanta has seen this play out before. When the streets get involved in rap drama, it doesn't stay on the internet. People get hurt, legacies are ruined, and lives are lost. Right now, all the pieces are in place for this to move from Twitter to the streets. This conflict represents something much larger than just three rappers fighting. It's about the shifting power in Atlanta and who gets to decide what real looks like in the culture. For years, Future was the undisputed ruler of the city. He had the hits and the crown, but now 21 is coming for the throne. Young Thug is still pulling strings from behind bars, and a new generation is watching to see who wins. Lines are being drawn all over the city. Artists who were raised on Future's music now have to decide if they stay loyal to him or admit that 21 might be right about the fakeness. Street crews with ties to both sides are being forced to choose an allegiance. This isn't just a digital beef between rich guys and mansions. These are people with real resources and the will to use them. The situation also highlights the gap between commercial fame and street respect. Future is the face of the charts and the mainstream appeal. 21 Savage is the face of the streets and the uncompromising lifestyle. This beef is making Atlanta choose what it values more, success or authenticity. In a culture that claims to prize keeping it real above all else, that is a heavy choice. Looking at the big picture, this started with some leaked calls, but it's actually about respect and the soul of Atlanta hip-hop. Thug's remarks about Future pulled back the curtain on years of resentment and fake friendships. 21 Savage's move to back Thug over Future shows where his heart is, even if it means opposing a more successful artist. That's either extreme loyalty or a very dangerous mistake. The condo robbery proves this isn't just about rap, it's about unresolved street business. And 21's outburst after his sales dropped shows how far someone will go when they feel their back is against the wall. Future's calm demeanor has helped him for a long time, but right now, that silence might be interpreted as being soft. In Atlanta, how people perceive you is everything. This whole saga shows that money and hits don't always buy you respect. Sometimes the realest move is to call out the truth, regardless of the cost. The main question now is whether this stays online or turns into something tragic. Atlanta is watching, the streets are whispering, and everyone is waiting to see who is actually as tough as they claim to be, in a city where being real is a matter of life and death. This isn't a game. The most frightening part is that once a beef like this gets rolling, it's nearly impossible to stop. What began as hurt feelings and a phone call could end in a way that changes everything. In a place where the line between the booth and the block is non-existent, that's a very real threat. What's your take? Is 21 Savage right about Future, or is this just a PR stunt to save his career? More importantly, do you think this stays on the internet or turns into real-world violence? Drop a comment below and make sure to subscribe, because this situation is far from over and it's likely to get worse.